Hello, I'm Refashionista Sheri, and your screen is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. My face is quite sun-kissed, or sunburnt, actually, because I forgot to wear my big floppy hat when I was mowing the lawn, and this is now the result. And you'll have to pardon my redness in some of the update videos of the articles of clothing I still have in my wardrobe today, because those videos were taken shortly after I cut the grass, so I'm very red in those videos. So yeah, you don't have to adjust anything. It is just how I'm going to look for a few days now till this calms down. But always wear sunscreen, always wear big floppy hats. And today's video is coming right at you from Sally Skinner. She requested downsizing tutorials. And side note, Sally, I love your username. I don't know if it's your real name or just your username, but Sally Skinner, love it. It rolls off the tongue. Fabulous. So I know I'm known for doing upsizing tutorials, and I just did that compilation last week, but this week we're doing downsizing. So look in your drawers, look in your closet, look in your wardrobe that you made out of an old ladder, if you have one of these, and find those items that are just too loose and too baggy, and let's transform them together. And if you want even more, like how I created this amazing top out of a pillowcase more than a few years ago, then head on over to my ebook and e-course store, because right now I have my pay what you can project. So you can get my books and courses for as little as $1 if that's all that you can pay. I will link it down below for you. But for now, let's get downsizing. And we're starting off in 2013 for my absolutely fabulous lickety-split improvement to breathe new life into a drab top. So I grabbed this wonderfully printed yet just too frumpy vintage blouse, turned it inside out, and chopped off the sleeves. Then I just grabbed some funky bias binding, or Waistband as it's called in German, because this tutorial I created when I was living in Berlin, Germany, and then simply stitched that around the raw edges of the armholes. Then you need to try on the blouse, take in the sides with 2 straight side seams if that's needed, and then go ahead and rock your fabulous, perfectly fitting top. And we're back in 2014, and look at young Sheri there. This is actually one of the most popular tutorials on my channel to this day, so of course I had to include it. And for this, you just need a dress that is too big for you, a dress that fits you well, scissors, and of course your sewing gear. So the very first step is to flip your dress inside out and simply chop off the sleeves. It's so super simple to do this. And again, this was my first attempt at doing this, and it came out super well. All right, next, you want to lay the dress that fits you well on top of your inside out, now sleeveless dress, and then simply mark with a pin the underarm seams onto the dress that you are shrinking. And there's a few different ways you can stitch this. If you go straight down, you're going to have a straight dress, of course. You can also stitch at kind of a gentle curve to make a A-frame style of dress. And then once your stitches are done, simply chop off the excess fabric. Very, very easy. And then the next thing I always do, of course, is to go over my seams with a tight wide zigzag. And next, just shorten it if you want to your desired length. If it is your desired length, then you don't have to shorten it. Then all I had to do was stitch those sleeves back on. Now, because my sleeves were a little bit long for me, I did cut off a generous portion from the top of the sleeves before I put them back on the dress. And you can see it came out absolutely perfectly. It lasted and lasted and lasted for years until, sadly, it eventually fell apart in the wash. And here's a quick tip from 2014. If you ever want to take in the waist of a dress or a top, a blouse, a shirt, or even a blazer, simply cinch the back with a funky brooch. Back in 2016, I spotted this vintage beauty online and instantly snatched it up. Yeah, the length was awkward and the elastic waist had definitely seen better decades, but it was nearly identical to one of my favorite childhood frocks from the 80s. 10-year-old me may have hated piano lessons, but she rocked this tropical dream dress with matching bolero. The new-to-me dress needed some love, so here's how I gave it a fab facelift and how you can shorten a dress at the waist as well. The first step is to rip out that crusty, dusty old elastic waistband. It had actually started disintegrating into powder. Ew. Next, I chose my ideal length and measured up from the hem to keep that glorious graphic intact. Then I chopped the excess from the middle of the dress and said bye-bye to that disgusting waist seam. With right sides together, I pinned the top to the bottom. A couple of tiny pin tucks at the center of the front helped to cinch the waist in a bit and line up the side seams perfectly. Then it was time to stitch. I sewed the waist seam, added a zigzag to finish off the edge for extra strength, and of course no fraying later. And voila, an updated fit that's comfy, cute, and totally me. And it's still in my wardrobe today. And honestly, I think 10-year-old me would give it a ginormous thumbs up.
I am so in love with my new checkered pants, 'cause they are awesome. But what's not awesome is that they fit here, but not here. So today, we're gonna fix it. It's so easy. So stay tuned and subscribe. For this quick and easy waist downsizing project, all you need is the two big waistband, some sort of cutting tool, a length of elastic, safety pin, and needle and thread. So your first step is to simply put a mark a few centimeters on either side of the center of the waistband. Then, using those marks as a guide, grab your cutting tool or your scissors and cut a small opening through just the interior layer of fabric on that waistband. Once you have your openings cut on either side, go ahead, put a safety pin in the end of your elastic and feed it on through. Then once your elastic is all the way through, you want it to be pulled through tight enough that it's gathering that up, but still loose enough that there's enough stretch that you can still get the pants on. Then all you have to do is pin the elastic in place so it doesn't snap back. Then go ahead and trim it, tuck it in a little bit, fold in the raw edges, and stitch everything together to hold it in place. Once you have one side done, go ahead and repeat the whole process on the other side, and then enjoy your fancy new, better fitting waistband. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Waistband fixed. Gotta love it, waistband fixed. Can't even really pull it at all, which is awesome. So now you can bend over, you can jump, and you know what? That's not gonna kind of flap open and expose anything you don't want to have exposed. Hello there! Hi! Don't go anywhere. Okay, you just caught me in the middle of doing me houseworks, so I got to be quick here. Today Sheri's going to show you just how simple it is to transform a frumpy old house dress into something fantastic for the coming spring weather. So stick around for that and I'll see you when it's done.
For this quick and easy dress fix, all you need is your frumpy vintage dress, a dress that has your ideal length, scissors, and your sewing gear. For your first step, simply lay that dowdy dress on a flat surface. Then place the perfectly fitting dress on top with the shoulder seams and underarm seams lined up. Then go ahead and mark the length of the top dress onto the bottom dress, making sure you give yourself a few centimeters of seam allowance. And then chop off that excess length.
Subscribe to my mom's channel, follow her on social media, and buy her ebooks. Yay! Thank you!
If your dress is made out of a non-fraying fabric, you can be done and just pop it on and enjoy now. However, if it's made out of something like mine is, and as you can see here, it is totally fraying without any help at all, then you want to go ahead and fold it under a couple of times and give it a nice clean hem. Now, because my fabric was quite slippery polyester, my final seam on the hem wasn't exactly super straight, so I went ahead and covered up my wonky seam with some groovy vintage rickrack trim. Luckily, I had enough trim left over to give some detail around that plain neckline as well. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough trim to go around the armholes, but the dress looks fantastic. How fab did this fantastic vintage dress fix come out? And I love the groovy detail on the neckline and hem, and it also looks fantastic with my fab blue tights and funky pre-loved platform shoes. I've been searching for kind of a fitted, well-fitting black long sleeve t-shirt forever because I love wearing this kind of stuff, you know, under my big bulky sweaters in the wintertime. And I thrifted this one online and totally thought, yay, it's gonna fit. No, it doesn't. And again, it's thrifted. It's not worth it to send it back at all. Speaking of thrifting online, if you don't already, I highly recommend it and shall link to my closet that you can shop down below. Okay, so I kind of, you know, love this though. I love the fabric. I don't know if you can see, but it's like ribbed and it's super duper soft. And I mean, it is very, very stretchy. I could wear it off the shoulder if I wanted to, but I mean, I was, you know, looking for a fitted black t-shirt and this is definitely not it. So today we're going to transform this in just literally a couple of snips, no sewing at all, and we're going to make it awesome so I can actually wear it. Let's get started. For this super duper quick project, all you need is your slightly or more than slightly oversized shirt plus your scissors. So the very first thing you need to do is figure out how long you would like the back of your soon-to-be wrap top to be. And for myself, I find it easiest to put on a pair of pants or jeans or trousers that has already the ideal kind of height of waistband that I would like the length of my shirt to be. If that makes sense. Okay, so I put the shirt on with my ideal height of pants and then just kind of put my finger right at the waistband and mark it with a piece of chalk. If you don't have chalk, just stick a pin in there. So as you can see here, my mark is not perfect at all, which is totally fine because we're just using it as a very basic guideline. Okay, so what you want to do now is cut only the back part of your shirt. You are leaving the front part as it is, and you're going to cut up the back to your line straight across and then back down again. So you can see here I have just the back of my shirt cut to that length that I want it to be, and I've tried it on and it is totally fine. I highly recommend at this point to go try your shirt on, and if you need to cut a little bit more, by all means go ahead. Now I have flipped my shirt over and I'm just going to chop straight down from the center of the neckline all the way down the front through the bottom hem. So of course, because I am me, I did manage to chop the back of mine a little bit too short. So instead of my normal rise jeans, I have on my super duper high rise jeans, which I love these high-waisted jeans so much. Anyway, so what you have now is a shirt that looks like this, that has these two generous side ties, and the bigger and stretchier your shirt is, of course, the longer you can stretch the ties. So you can simply knot it in the front and you're good to go. Or do the wrap shirt and wrap one side over the other side, stretch it as much as you need to, and tie it in the back. One more time. Yes, I can do it. Okay, and then just kind of arrange the front as you would like it, and there you go. Gorgeous. This is just so awesome now. I absolutely love that I can wear it different ways. I can throw it over a dress if I want to, just knot it in the front. Fantastic. And yeah, like, I'm also pleased that I can actually wear it with these fabulously high-waisted jeans. These jeans have such a high waist, it is insane, and they are so comfortable and so cool, and so absolutely totally vintage 80s, which is awesome. These are like the ultimate in high-waisted mom jeans, which is fine because I'm a mom, right? This is something I thrifted a couple of years ago now, actually, and I rarely try things on when I'm at the thrift store because I know if it's not exactly perfect for me, I can always refashion it into something. But I saw this on the hanger and I thought, wow, how gorgeous is this? I mean, like, look at that fabric. It is orange and pink, which are two of my favorite colors, and it's also very glittery, fantastic. And I thought, hey, great, it's even got a tie. It's got the pussy bow tie on it, which I love so much. But when I got it home and actually put it on, I realized it's like huge. And I just would like to point out as well that this was medium on the tag, like medium. So again, you can never believe any clothing tags whatsoever, never. And yeah, I think it's about time that I actually downsize this so it does fit me properly, because I have worn it as is and the sleeves are just insanely long and it really is a bit too wide for me. So let's go make this fit properly. For this quick downsizing project, all you need is your too big top, plus a shirt that fits you properly, and of course your sewing gear. So your first step is to flip your too big shirt inside out, and you want to cut off the sleeves. Now, because this shirt is like insanely stretchy, the fabric it's crazy stretchy. The littlest breeze makes this stretch out huge. So I'm going to be cutting off my sleeves and leaving this kind of bulky seam here for now, because I really don't want the armhole to super stretch out. Once the sleeves are removed, then you can grab your template top and lay it on top of your too big top with the necklines and shoulder seams as lined up as you can get them. Again, it doesn't have to be super perfect, but as even as possible. And you can actually see here how much bigger this top is than the one that actually fits me properly. Like, so here is the shoulder seam, or the top of the armhole, and here, look at that. That's huge. That is huge. That's a huge amount of fabric for a shirt that is supposedly a medium. But again, as I said, we all know sizes are ridiculous nowadays. Once you have the top lined up, then you can go ahead and grab a pin and mark the bottom of your template top underarm seam onto the shirt here. And I'm going to take it in a couple extra centimeters as well, because I really do need to take in the sides, and then repeat that on the other side of the shirt. Alternatively, you can simply fold your shirt in half, line up those chopped armholes, and then put your pin in the same position. It's pretty easy to do it that way. And then all I'm going to do is kind of a gentle curve here from the armhole and stitch all the way straight down to the bottom of my shirt. And I'm going to do that, of course, on both sides. Now, once you have both of your sides stitched, I highly recommend going and trying your top on, just to make sure that your armholes are fitting correctly and they're not too big, they're not too small. If they are too big, you can always go ahead and stitch some more. If they're too small, then simply take your little seam ripper and open up those underarms a little bit to give yourself the space that you need. And now I'm just going to go and chop off the excess side fabric. So I have now put my shirt on inside out again, and you can see like the sides are so much better. This is fitting me so much better. And I decided to keep the kind of drop shoulder that the original shirt had. I just really like drop shoulders. Okay, so now let's reattach the sleeves. But if I were to simply, you know, put this on, hello, that's kind of insane and long and huge. So I am just going to put the sleeve cuff where I want it, just a little bit past my wrist on my palm, and then kind of feel. You can kind of see there, but it's better just to feel, or you can fold it down so you can see there. And I'm gonna grab my pin and just mark plus a couple of centimeters there for seam allowance. I don't know if you can see that. And I've just marked where I need to chop my sleeves, so they're going to be the actual size I need. So I have both of my sleeves inside out with the cuffs lined up, the side seams lined up, everything lined up. And where I've marked with a pin, that sleeve is of course on top. So I'm just going to now cut them both to size. So you can see here, I tried to follow the original kind of angle as best as I could. So when I'm putting it back on, it should hopefully fit perfectly into those new armholes. So I now have one of my sleeves right side out and my shirt is inside out, and I'm going to pop the sleeve into the armhole, and there we have the right sides will be facing. And then this kind of bottom seam here on the sleeve, I'm going to line up with the side seam of the shirt and pin that in place. Okay, now clearly, because my armholes are now much, much smaller, this sleeve is not simply going to go in there nicely. Like if I did put it in like this, I would have to get rid of all of this extra fabric, which would then shorten the sleeve too much. So what I'm going to do, and again, this fabric is so stretchy, so I hope this is going to be successful, is I'm going to match up here on the side as best as I can, all the way until I get to this shoulder seam. And then I'm just going to start gathering the excess fabric like so. So as you can see, I have pinned my sleeve in place here, and then at the top, I just kind of accordion folded and gathered up that excess so it kind of lined up with the shoulder seam. And I'm curious to see how this is going to come out because I've never done this before. So let's go stitch it on and see what happens. Okay, it is all stitched on now. So let's check it out. The moment of truth. Let's see if it worked. And hey, that actually, look at that. Look at that. The gathers look pretty good. Okay, let's go do the other side and then you can try it on. Okay, both of the sleeves are reattached and they look pretty similar. So yay me. Now it's time to try it on and style it up. Yay! Whoops, whoops, stuck again, stuck again. These string curtains are super cool, but they always get stuck on bracelets and noses and mouths, and it's insane, but it looks cool, so that's what's important. Anyway, this actually fits me now, and like the sleeves are just perfect. I am so pleased with how everything came out. The sides are great. The only thing I'm wondering about is if you think I should maybe kind of crop this so I don't have to tuck it in, because it still is quite long, like it's, you know, down to about my hips, and I'm not really liking that. So thinking to maybe crop it up to, you know, waist area, just below my waist. So if I want to tuck in the front a little bit, I still can, but if I want to wear it kind of out, I can do that too. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. Let me know what you think. I didn't notice at the shop, but this elastic is quite loose. Like these are very, very vintage. So the elastic's pretty much gone. And when I put them on, they just kind of slide right off. So Today we are going to take in these trousers. It's just a quick and easy mend, and then we're gonna see how I can style them, because they're pretty unique. They are very unique. So I'm gonna figure out a few different ways to style them, and hopefully, you know, it'll inspire you to grab something that's maybe super unique at the thrift store next time you're there. For this quick and easy waistband shrinking project, all you need is some elastic and your hand sewing gear. So these definitely are very, very vintage, as I said, and you can see here that the elastic waistband is pretty much gone. I mean, I'm sure under here it's just powder. It's very, very loose, and I can even, if I put it close to my ear, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's like crunchy, and anyone who's ever worked with any kind of vintage elastic, you know what that means. Crunchy elastic is not a good thing. Anyway, so because I don't really feel like removing all of this, taking out, there's 2 seams holding this in here, and I just know it's going to be a big mess. Maybe I'll do it in the future, but I don't want to do it right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is simply open up a little space here on one side so I can feed some new elastic through here and make this waistband fit me. So I was actually going to put like a little notch in this side, but then I looked over at this side and there's already a hole here. So I can put my elastic through, and then I can mend up this hole all in one go, and I don't have to create another hole. So what I've done is I had this piece of elastic, which actually stretches nicely around the back of my body from like one hip to the other hip around my back. And I will also have a little bit extra room to spare for, you know, the seam allowance that I need to stitch it on. And I'm just going to see if I can feed it through. I've popped a pin in the end, and let's see if it's actually gonna fit through this hole here. And look, how good is that? The hole in the pants was actually right in kind of the center seam area here, so it should gather it up nicely. And then I still have this kind of top that might look a little bit like a mini paper bag waist when it's all through. We'll see. All right, it's a little bit tough to push through. Like I said, it's got crunchy, crunchy powdery elastic in there. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun fixing these trousers. Okay, I'm just going to continue doing this, and then once I have it all the way through, we shall return. So to get my pin out of the other end here, I just opened up a little section of the seam, and now you can really see just how crunchy it is in there. Yeah, I think I will definitely do a better job replacing this elastic, but like I said, right now I just want to do something quick and easy. So now let's go pop them on and measure the correct length. So you can see these are pretty high-waisted, which is just fantastic. And I have already pinned one side of my elastic to the side of the trousers. So then I can just gently pull on this side until the back part feels comfortably tight. I don't want these to be too tight, because if I want to wear them lower, I just can pull them down a bit lower with the elastic waist back there. Okay, so everything looks good. I'm just going to pin the other side in place, and then I can go trim my elastic and stitch it all together. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just do a really quick kind of anchoring stitch here, just so it's not going to move anywhere, and I can then do a proper, more secure stitch. This is very picky to try to get through the layers of all of this old elastic. Okay, there we go. Okay, I finally got it anchored with a little stitch there. Now I'm just gonna stretch it out a bit, trim off the excess, and fold that chopped edge under, and anchor that, and then tuck it in and stitch up the hole. So I have my elastic anchored securely in place on the inside, and now I'm just going to follow the original seam with a very simple running stitch just to close up that hole, because on this side, this is the side where I simply opened up the waistband seam. On the other side, I'll probably end up doing like a whip stitch or something. That looks so much better. It feels so much better as well. And it's pretty much invisible on the inside and definitely invisible on the outside. So time to try these on and style them up. These pants, they fit me. They totally fit me. And that was very, very easy and painless, wasn't it? To simply add some extra elastic, and now they fit me. And I went ahead and tried these on with a few different looks. So do let me know down below which one you think is best. If you prefer, you know, how I have it here, which by the way is the reason I got these pants is because I saw them and I thought, oh, look, that is like the exact same color. So perfect. And I actually made them fit me. So even better. Anyway, so we have this look, of course. And then I thought, let's try something a little bit more casual. And I think that goes pretty good together. But then what if I want to dress them up a bit? Hey, a form-fitting bodysuit always works fantastically. And if I want to dress it up even more, I can always pair them with my absolutely awesome refashioned 80s blazer. And that blazer is the one that I upcycled, refashioned for my celeb copycat of Celine Dion. So I shall link that down below for you as well. This was a case of seeing something online and you think, oh my God, that is so wonderful. It is perfect for me. I need to buy it. The price is okay. And yeah, then it comes and it's like you are playing dress up in someone's closet and you are a little tiny toddler. I did check the measurements so many times. I remeasured myself. I checked the measurements on the website. I thought, hey, this is going to be great. And yeah, no. And I'm not going to send it back because Canada Post is terrible and it would cost more money to send it back than the actual dress cost to begin with, so not worth it. But that means you guys get another downsizing tutorial, so it's all going to work out in the end, I hope. Now, it did come with a belt as well. So I'm going to see how I can incorporate this. I don't really wear fabric belts, but here, I can show you the pattern is just so cool. It is just like the coolest, except for this right here. This one right here, I do have a little bit of that, what is it called, tryptophobia, where when you see things that have a lot of holes in them, you kind of, it makes you, and your tummy goes a bit wonky. So I'm just going to avoid that, that particular print part of this, but let me know down below if you have that as well. And I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with this, so I think I'm going to do a poll and then let you guys decide if I should just downsize it and keep it as a dress, maybe make it into a romper. I have no idea. So I will put the poll up and we'll see what we're going to do. And you know what? I got something cool here. You know what time it is now. It's time to go down to the studio and get making. For this delightful downsizing project, all you need is your too big dress plus a shirt that fits you well to use as a template to downsize the dress, and of course, your sewing gear. Okay, you can see I have flipped my dress inside out and put my top on top of it. And I just marked a couple centimeters down from the bottom of the shirt onto my dress to create the area that I need to chop it so I can create my top and skirt. And luckily, it just happens to be between two of these decorative buttons on the front of the dress. All right, I have chopped the top from the bottom. Now, I was simply going to add an elastic waist casing to this and just create an adorable little skirt. But this is so much fabric here, this chopped bottom part. I think I might be able to make 2 different skirts out of it. So that's what I'm going to try to do. And yeah, let's go see if I got enough fabric. Okay, look, like that is a lot of fabric. And so what I was doing was just I wrapped this around here, and how cute, that would make a cute little high-waisted skirt, but it really comfortably wraps all the way around my body with like an overlap back here. So there's definitely enough fabric here if I cut this in half to do 2 skirts. So I think the piece that has these kind of faux button placket on it here, this is just going to be a high-waisted skirt on its own. But the other piece, you may remember these jeans as the ones that I used for my inner thigh patching tutorial, and they've been patched like way too many times now, and they keep blowing out here in the bottom area. So I think it's time to refashion them into something else. But what I was thinking is how cute that would be to have that on the bottom. It's not, come on, hold up there nicely. Okay, to have that on the bottom of the jeans. And then I have 2 adorable yet different skirts. So let's go make those. Right, so I chopped my bottom piece as evenly in half as I possibly could, and let's work on the super easy one first. So the one here with the button placket, I'm just going to put the right sides together and then stitch those chopped open edges together, and then add a very simple, fold this down waistband casing, and then add my elastic waist, and it's going to be done. Too easy. And the first in this fantastic 3-for-1 tutorial is complete. It is absolutely adorable, this swingy, kicky little skirt. Now let's go make the next skirt. So I just realized that these are, yes, indeed, the jeans that I showed how to patch the inner thigh area, but also the ones where I showed how to fix torn belt loops. So I'll link that tutorial down below for you as well. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is lay your jeans flat, and then we're just gonna chop right under the pockets, leaving like a generous area for seam allowance. So I just put on the top of the jeans and held it up with the skirt bottom, and this top bit was just making it a very awkward length, so I've chopped that off, and I'm just going to stitch the ends of this open ruffle piece together, and then we'll stitch it onto the denim top. Okay, so because my interior pockets here are a little bit long, I've pulled them out just so there's no chance that I'm accidentally going to stitch them together here. Now I'm going to flip this around so I have the back facing up, and grab my ruffled up tube here, and here is the seam where I just stitched the sides together, and I want this to match up with this back seam here. So I'm just going to flip that over top of my denim. So now I have the right sides facing, and I can easily match all of this up. And you know what's awesome? Because this is already gathered, I don't have to do any more pin tucks or gathering. I can simply line up my seams here and then go stitch it together. Okay, it's stitched on. Now the moment of truth. Oh my goodness, how adorable does that look? That came out perfectly. And I mean, what a great little way to salvage a destroyed pair of jeans and the rest of the skirt here. Yeah, now let's move on and finally get started creating that downsized top. Okay, I've never actually seen this kind of a sleeve before. So this is definitely the first time I am trying to work with this kind of sleeve. You can see it's attached like here across the chest and as well as across the back. So I think the easiest thing to do is to chop off one of the sleeves, and I'm just going to follow the line of the side seam here, and I'm just going to kind of create some armhole sleeve holes. So let's give that a try. So as you can see here, I have the first chopped sleeve and I've placed it on top of the other sleeve, and I'm just going to use it as a template to cut off my second sleeve. So now I'm left with something that kind of looks like a cap sleeve armhole area, but I definitely have to shrink this top because it is way too big for me. So I'm just going to center it here and grab my template shirt. Now the thing here that is a little bit confusing is there's no shoulder seams because of how those sleeves were put on. So I'm just kind of trying to line up the collars as best I can and using those seams as my center point. But I chose this one specifically because it kind of bells out at the bottom here, so I can still keep that kind of A shape by using this as my template. So that is centered. So what I'm going to do is use this armhole here as the template and mark here for stitching straight down to shrink. Look, that much. That's a huge amount of the sides there. So I'm just going to pop a pin in there and then stitch straight down on both sides. Okay, so I have tried this chopped and stitched blouse on, and you guys, it actually worked. I actually made it small enough to fit me and created some awesome new armholes. Plus, I did go ahead and trim my chopped sleeves to the right length that I would need. And to do that, I just put this on and, you know, kind of held these sleeves up to where I thought they should be, and then I trimmed them. That's super, super simple. So now we can put the sleeves back onto this shrunken blouse. Okay, so I have one of my sleeves right side out, and I have my blouse part inside out, and I'm going to pop my sleeve into my groovy armhole that I created, like so. And I'm going to match up the underarm seam of the sleeve with the side seam of the blouse. And now clearly this sleeve is much, much wider than this armhole. So what am I going to do? Of course, I'm going to do my lovely little pin tucks all the way around and then stitch it together. And of course, do the other side. And my sleeves totally worked. My little pleats here are awesome. And the sleeves now have a little bit of a puff to them when I put them on, and it looks fantastic. So now we can finally finish this downsize. And because this fabric actually isn't really fraying, I mean, it's pretty much polyester, I think I'm just going to take this pretty bit of lace and bind up the edge here. Once this is done, we're going to try everything on and style it all up. So I just thought I would show you a close-up of how the bottom came out. And I did actually end up having to remove this button and stitch it back on because my lace, you know, was a little bit too high there, but whatever, I think it came out so cute. Now we can finally go try everything on and style it all up. And another triumph of Refashionista know-how. I'm thinking so. Anyway, I now have a blouse that fits me absolutely how I wanted it to. I didn't want to take in the sides too much because I still wanted it to be kind of loose and easy breezy, but look at how great the sleeves came out. I have like a drop shoulder, it's pleated, it's puffy, it's just a perfection. And of course, I mean, the little kicky skirt, easy peasy, and a second little kicky skirt because, hey, I mean, what a way to use the excess fabric, right? Like so simple. And as always, let me know down below what you think. If you're gonna do this yourself to a dress that you have that you maybe got and found that it was a lot bigger than you thought it was going to be. I don't know about in your area, but where I am, changing rooms are non-existent now in thrift stores. I mean, I'm a refashionista. I rarely tried anything on to begin with because I know if it doesn't fit, I can fix it or I can make it into something else, right? But these trousers were a pair that I got and I thought they were gonna be okay, but as I shared in the show and tell, they are quite a bit too big for me in the waist, plus I have to shorten them as well. So that's what we're gonna do today. But then I remembered that I had another pair of jeans. Now these ones were part of a thrifted mystery box that I scored online, and the length is perfect, but the waist is pretty big on me. And I actually got something online to try with these and it's finally arrived. So today we're gonna downsize these with my Refashionista know-how and we're gonna downsize these with this clever little thing that I bought online. So let's get making. So clearly all you need are trousers or jeans or pants that are too big for you in the waist and your sewing gear. Now for the black ones, I think I might actually use my sewing machine, but this can also be done with just hand sewing. And for the gray jeans here, because I have these adorable little tools that I got online, they will definitely have to be stitched on with hand sewing, but let's start with the black ones. Okay, so I've actually already shortened the black trousers here, and even though these look like jeans, they're actually a poly rayon blend, so they're not really thick at all, which is why I think I can just zip them through my machine super easy. And pardon my hair clip back there holding my shirt up, but you can kind of get a really good idea from the back how big they are on me. They are quite large. And I was thinking to take in the back as I did in a previous tutorial, but I think if I just gather it up here with elastic or something, it's going to be too bunchy in the back. So I think it's better to take in the sides, and these pockets are fake. Anyway, why the heck do designers do this? Like, what is the use? It's not attractive looking and it's definitely not useful, but in this case it makes my life a bit easier because I can just pinch this on the sides, and I think I'm going to take it in 2 to 3 centimeters on each side and just stitch down at an angle, and I don't have pockets to worry about. So I guess thank you, designer, for making these very stupid pocketless looking pants. So I now have my trousers inside out laying on my nice flat table, and I have my measure, and I think I'm just going to start with 2 centimeters on each side, and if I need to take in more, then I can. So I'm just going to measure from one side of the trousers in 2 centimeters, put a little mark with my lovely vintage chalk marker, and because it has these fake pockets, I'm actually gonna use this rivet here as my kind of stopping area, and I'm just going to mark it going down at an angle towards this fake pocket rivet. Okay, and then all I have to do is stitch the front and the back together following my little angle line here, and then repeat it on the other side of the trouser waist. And look, it actually worked. It is nice and smooth and flat, and I do not have nearly the amount of gaping and gapping at the back here. And again, they're not falling down anymore. That's the most important thing. So yay for another very, very quick and easy mend. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, so I've had these since Christmas time, I guess, and they've just been sitting there because they're not super comfortable at all because the waistband is so big. They fit me pretty well in my hips and my legs and everything, but this is crazy. You could fit almost another whole person in here. So when I saw these clever little things here, I thought, hey, let's try them on these jeans. So apparently you just stitch them on like buttons and then they clip together and they're supposed to hold this in place here. So like that would get folded over and that holds it in place. And then if you want to loosen it, you just open them up again. But how cute is that? I think that looks super cute. So we're going to figure out, I guess, where I need to stitch them on. And I was thinking here would probably be pretty good, you know, kind of right above the pocket area. Because once again, look at these pockets. That's it. That's a pocket there. Can really carry a lot. All right, so I figured that I need to take in the waistband about 10 centimeters. So I'm going to stitch these approximately 5 centimeters apart. And I just went ahead and grabbed one of my kiddos' markers and I just marked here 1 and 2 where I'm going to stitch them on. And now I'm just going to hand stitch them on. If you're not sure about hand stitching, might I suggest downloading my Sewing Basics ebook. Everything is in there that you need to know about hand stitching, including a bunch of awesome hand stitching tutorials. So I have both sides stitched on, and here's the moment of truth. Let's see. La la, look at that. It clips and gathers. And on this side as well, and definitely this has shrunk the waistband, but I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like. So you know what? Let's go try everything on and style it all up. Another success, and I know, this wasn't a big dramatic Refashionista tutorial, but you know what? Sometimes all we need is to make our pants fit better, and then it'll help us get through the day, right? So not every tutorial has to be an amazing dramatic refashion. And sometimes it can be useful because useful things are what? They're useful. Anyway, I really hope this tutorial was useful for you. I mean, it's basically a 2-for-1 and that's always awesome. What do you guys think of these? Do you think it came out okay? I mean, they work, but I will be totally brutally honest with you, and whenever you sit down or whenever it gets like the smallest bit of slack, it comes apart. So that's a little bit annoying. I think I might try to make my own version of these. So do let me know down below if you want me to try to do that and make ones that are actually going to be sturdy and stay together, because it is an adorable idea, but I'm pretty sure I could figure something out using buttons, cool buttons from my stash. So yeah, let me know down below if you want that. My idea needs a green or green toned or green patterned button down shirt, but unfortunately all of the used shirts at the thrift shop ranged in price from $8.99 all the way up to $24.99, and at those prices I might as well go buy a brand new one from the mall, right? Luckily my Refashionista brain said check out the PJ section, where I found an awesome green PJ top for only $2.99. So thankfully I was able to find this awesome vintage pajama shirt in the PJ section, right? Like, this is why I always say you have to check every section at the thrift shop, because seriously, $9, $10, $15 for a used men's shirt, or anything for that matter. It's used, it's donated. That is insane. But $2.99, $3 here, I can handle it, and I know I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this once I'm done the project. But because it's not exactly the type of green I was hoping for, you know, something that was more similar to this, I actually don't think I am going to end up using this, because I just really don't think these greens go well together. But with that said, I do have a completely different idea that I'm going to do with this shirt. And so let's just get making that. For this, hopefully a quick and easy project, all you need is your oversized button-down shirt, or in this case, a pajama shirt, and of course, your sewing gear. So because this shirt has such cool trim here, and I just love that so much, even on the pocket, it just looks fantastic. And when I opened it up here, it also has it here, and you can see I've already removed the buttons, and I did also go ahead, and because this was all flippy flopping around, I pressed it under and then stitched it so it's not going to move, because I'm not going to have this as a button down anymore. I'm going to see if I can make it into a faux wrap bowling style cropped shirt. That is a lot, but let's see if I can do it. All right, so my idea is to have this part, which has the nice contrasting green, folded out like so, and then this side is going to cross over to create that faux wrap top look. And I think, though, the very first thing I'm going to have to do is stitch this together here, because it is open and flippy flapping around. So I'm just going to go do that, and then I'll go try it on and we'll see what the next step's going to be. Okay, so you can see here I have this all stitched together on both sides, so it's not flippy flapping around anymore. And now I can kind of see better to try out my idea. So I'm taking these two lapel fronts here, folding it out, because I want this contrasting side to be on the outside, not on the inside. It's way nicer on the outside. Okay, so this side clearly has the buttonholes in it. So I'm just going to grab this side and wrap it. So I put a pin in my mouth over top, like so. And because this is so big, I have so much space that I can actually pull it forward and it's still comfortable. It's not affecting anything there. So just going to pull that like that, fold this back out. Okay, there. So I think if I pin it here, there, and then arrange everything and stitch it all together going straight down, it should actually come out pretty awesome. And then we can work on cropping it and creating some different sleeves, because I'm not feeling these sleeves. Okay, so the crossover idea actually worked. I'm really shocked that it did, but it's comfortable. It looks pretty darn cool. And you notice here, I did also remove the pocket, because otherwise it wasn't going to look good at all. So I'm not sure if I'm going to maybe reattach it on the other side. I don't know. We're really flying by the seat of our pants with this one. I don't really have a plan at all. I'm just going with the flow. Oh, and I also did chop the bottom because the fabric was pretty bulky, so when I crossed it over, it just wasn't working. So I had to chop it all off, and I think I'm going to add some lace or something to the bottom. As I said, I don't know what I'm doing yet, but let's work on these sleeves. So as you can see, I have my shirt folded in half as evenly as possible. I have the shoulder seams lined up, the sleeves all lined up, and of course the underarm seams lined up as well. And now I'm just going to grab a shirt that has my ideal sleeve length and line up the shoulder seam area here. And my plan is actually to reattach these cool sleeve cuffs. So I'm absolutely going to be cutting this at exactly the length of this sleeve. I don't need any seam allowance because I'm adding these on again. Here I have my chopped sleeve cuffs, and I'm just going to flip one of them inside out, and I have my shirt right side out. And as always, I'm going to pop my sleeve cuff over top of the chopped sleeve, And when it's all stitched together, because I have the right sides facing, this is going to pop down and everything's going to be fine and look as it's supposed to. Always make sure you have your right sides facing when you're stitching. Okay, so now I'm just going to line up the underarm seams here on the chopped cuff and on the chopped sleeve, and then go and stitch this together. So I have both of the sleeve cuffs stitched on and they look absolutely perfect. I did have to do a couple of little pin tucks because the cuffs were a bit smaller than the sleeves, but it adds a really cute little puff there on the sleeve edge, which I think is just absolutely adorable, of course. And now let's go finish off this shirt. So to finish off this funky little top, I thought it would be kind of cool if I put some lovely white lace all the way around here, and then it's going to tie in with the white trim around the collar and on the sleeve cuffs as well. So I grabbed my box of, light colored lace here, and unfortunately nothing is suitable in my stash, so I popped to Dollarama, which is our lovely Canadian dollar store, and I found this pretty lace here for only $1.25 for 2.5 meters, and I think it is absolutely going to look lovely. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this all around this whole area, and I also think perhaps around the bottom hem as well. So as you can see, all of my trim is now stitched on. The sleeves are done. It just came out so cute. Now, this part here is where I removed that pocket, and there was a little bit of pulling in the fabric, so I just went ahead and covered it with this very, very cute panda patch, and I think it just ties it all together. So now let's go try it on and style it up. Another super duper cutie patootie triumph. You would never know this began life as a extra large men's pajama top, and now it is this fabulous faux wrap cropped bowling style shirt. I think it came out very, very well, considering, once again, I didn't have a clue what I was doing and just used my Refashionista brain to create this, and it is super duper cute. Also, if you want an extra cute little bonus accessory to go with this, when you have some lace left over, when you put your trim on, just tie it around your neck, and there you have an instant choker that perfectly coordinates with your top. And there you have it. Downsizing is so super simple. If I can figure out how to do it and create tutorials to share with you, you can definitely do this yourself. It is not brain surgery. It is nothing difficult. You don't need any super special skills or equipment whatsoever. Most of those tutorials you could even do with a bit of hand sewing. And if you are just starting out or you want to improve your skills, as I said at the beginning of the video, pop on over to my shop and choose any number of my pay what you can ebooks and e-courses and create the wardrobe of your dreams on a budget that you're basically choosing for yourself. And as always, oh wait, I totally forgot. I now have YouTube memberships. Isn't that cool? So for only $1.99 Canadian, so if you're anywhere else in the world, it's going to be so much cheaper for you actually. I'm going to be doing watch parties now. Watch parties. So maybe twice a month to start, but I think maybe I might even do once a week because I want to do something, right? And that would be hilarious fun to watch sustainable fashion documentaries with you guys, some of my favorite Gen X movies that are available copyright free, of course, as well as commercials. I don't know. There's so many different things that we can hang out and watch together. So the link will be right. It's right below the video, isn't it? To join this channel, and then you can see all the weird, wonderful, and wacky Refashionista perks that you will get, including hanging out with me on the weekend and reacting and watching crazy stuff that we can find. Oh, and of course, being very serious and sustainable at the same time. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.